Hi everyone, how are you all doing today? I hope you're all grand. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous bright day here in London today. Well, I say bright, there are some clouds scuttering across and suddenly we're plunged into darkness. But wow, the garden has changed so much. I haven't been here for about 5 days, just 5 days. I would like to have been, but haven't been able to manage it. And it feels so different already. Coming down today, it's beautifully bright. There is a little bit of warmth in that sun, but as soon as the clouds come over, it's pretty chilly. It's kind of time to get snuggly, but I love that. I love kind of being all snuggled up on the allotment. It's great. So I've got loads to do today. So my priorities today, in that time I've been away, the tomatoes are finished. They're absolutely finished. So I'm going to take you guys down there in a minute. I'm going to pick what's left that might be okay, and then the rest, get them tied up in bags and off site. Then, this is why it's so exciting. It's kind of this continual, there's no such thing as end of season. Absolutely no such thing. It's just moving into another one. Because where the tomatoes were, I now need to prep that bed to start sowing my winter green manure, which I'll show you later and explain about. There's loads of picking to do, loads more beans to pick. I've been picking and podding and spreading for drying out, so there's loads of those to pick. Peppers to pick, that cucumber that I showed you the other day, and then I forgot to pick it, so I'll have a look in a minute and see if it's still edible raw. It might end up going into a smoothie if it's gotten really big and tough. But yeah, generally it's that time of year now where there's a lot of tidying, but it's not tidying just for the sake of prettifying, it's tidying in order to get ready for the next things. So, lots to do. Without further ado, let's get into the garden and do some work. So there's definitely a few I can rescue. Hoopla. If they look half decent, they'll go in the basket. And then I'm going to come back and do all the green ones and they can go in the pan. And they'll go in the shed to ripen, if they're going to ripen. So let's get stuck in. It's actually quite disheartening how fast the blight takes hold. But I'm looking at these and most of them look, they're beyond it. So I'm just going to now get on with removing the plants. It seems like the Chadwick cherry have fared better than the Gardener's Delight. So that's now making me think next year maybe I'll do more Chadwick cherry and less Gardener's Delight. Which is a shame because I really like the Gardener's Delight. But they really seem to be badly affected. So, like I say, I've had so much fruit this year that I'm at that stage now where I'm thinking, do you know what, I think I've got enough to last me the year. Let's now just be done and get this lot out. Yeah, they're coming out. It'll be interesting next year when I grow the seed from the one I've saved from France, how that's going to fare against blight. It is inevitable, but it just seems that, like I say, the Chadwick have fared a bit better, so maybe that's something I need to think about for next year and think about changing and possibly even saying goodbye to the Gardener's Delight. We'll see. Right, plants out. Oh, if you can hear a meow, someone's turned up for a feed. Hey buddy, are you hungry? Are you? Do you want to come for a scoff and a cuddle? You're so cheeky. Come on then. Come on. One row down, 3 to go. Just to say as well, once I finish doing all this, these gloves will come home and get a wash. The secateurs and scissors and all the little supporting canes and bits and pieces, they'll all get a really thorough clean with a tea tree oil solution, just drops of tea tree oil in some water. Get them all cleaned, let them air dry in this lovely sunshine today, and then stash the canes for winter. I'd better gone, hadn't I? So much to do. I'm nearly there getting the last of the tomatoes out, but I just thought I'd show you this. Hopefully it will be educational for those of you who are new to gardening, and I know some of you down under are about to start doing your tomatoes, some of you for the first time ever. So you'll often hear us talk about, when we plant the tomato, planting it deeper than the soil surface. I tend to put mine in about 6 to 8 inches deeper than where they are at in the pot, partly because mine go so leggy because I have to start them indoors without a greenhouse. But also in doing that, they develop more roots to give them a good strong anchoring and for taking up nutrients. So here's the perfect demonstration of it. Can you see? So this little section here right at the bottom, that was what was growing in the pot indoors at home. Just this little bit here. When I came to plant them in the bed, I planted them all the way to here. So basically all of these roots that have developed between these 2 points, they've developed by burying it deeper. And like I say, you know, when you see a tomato's root system, you see that it's pretty small when you consider the size of plant that's above it. So giving it a chance to develop these extra roots to help anchor it into the soil, but also every single little root is going to give it more opportunities for taking up water, taking up nutrients in the soil. So bury your tomatoes a bit deeper when you come to plant them out. I hope that's helpful. They always come down so much more quickly than they go up. Right, next row. Cup of tea first. Something's going on with the weather today. It's suddenly got really, really blustery out there. So I've come back into the shed to, and I've got company in my lap, to just talk about the wintergreen manure, because it's such an easy thing to do, but super useful. So I'll just see if I can hold these up to the camera to show you for a second without, can you see them? So they look a little bit like really small broad beans, and actually when they grow they look rather like broad beans when they come up. So why the wintergreen manure? Actually, there's loads of reasons. And like I said, it's a really, really useful thing to do for all these different reasons. So let's start at the beginning. First things first, my reason for doing it is because of my clay soil. So by planting these now, we're mid-September, and they can be sown until about mid-November. The idea is that they'll... Oh, Russie's nipping me, he wants more attention. I just had a momentary little cut then because there was something on my roof. I don't know what it was, but there was definitely something on my roof. Oh, have we calmed down now? Yes, I think so. Right, so what I was trying to say about the wintergreen manure, I grow it mainly for the foliage that's going to develop. And then in the spring, when the plants are sort of 10 inches high or so, just before they flower, I trim them all off at the base, give them a couple of weeks on the surface of the soil to wilt, and then just turn them into the soil a little bit with their roots as well. So a lot of people will grow them for the roots because they fix nitrogen, so they take nitrogen from the air and they fix it in little nodes on their roots, and then when the plant gets killed and turned in, that nitrogen that's in the roots gets released into the soil. So it's a great thing to sow this winter for next spring if you're going to be planting any of the legume family, which like nitrogen. Just a word though, that once they are dug in, the ground won't be suitable for doing direct sowing of seeds for about 3 to 4 weeks, just because the nitrogen levels will be too high, the little seeds won't manage. So I tend to do mine, I'll sow now, and then I will probably chop their little heads off at the end of February, beginning of March. By the end of March they'll be turned in, and then by the end of April I'm ready to start doing my sowing or putting my actual plants out. So for me with my clay soil, all of that organic matter is fantastic because it's everything that I can put into the soil by way of organic matter is just helping to break up all that clay. But another reason for doing it over the winter, well, firstly I don't want bare patches. Any bit of bare soil over winter with rain, lashing rain, never mind snow, what that does is it really, really compacts my soil. I mean, it turns it into this skim of concrete on the top. It's horrible. So by having all these plants everywhere, it just helps to stop the ground from being pelted. And then of course the water that is down there, the roots are taking up and using to produce the wonderful foliage that I'm going to chop in. So it's great against soil erosion and compaction during the winter. It's great for fixing nitrogen. It's great for having organic matter to dig in the spring. But also if you think about it, it's continuing to be a living environment over those winter months. So instead of putting sheets of plastic down, which is it's no good to the birds, the ground feeding birds who want to hop around and peck around and find little bits of grubs to eat. So by keeping this living environment going rather than just covering in plastic, you're also providing food sources for the ground feeding birds, a bit of shelter for the good bugs that we've got. All in all, it's a win-win-win. So I will be sowing these in rows about 8 to 10 inches apart, and within the row each seed probably 6, 7 or 8 inches apart. There's a lot to do, so I need to go and get cracking. But like I said, I came in here because it was so blustery out there. I couldn't hear myself think, never mind speak. So shall we go and get on, Rusty? Are you going to help? I don't think he's going to help. He's been hiding from the wind in the shed, bless him. Right then, sun's come back out. Time to get sowing. This is going to take me for ages, so I'm going to say cheerio now, because I think by the time I finished all this, I'm going to be a bit dead on my feet and just wanting my cuppa. So I will say cheerio. happy harvesting still, because there's still so much to harvest. Happy ground prep for the winter, whatever you're going to do. Oh, actually, just before I do go on the word of the wintergreen manures, sorry, there are all sorts you can choose from. So when you look at your seed catalogue, some of them will be for summer sowing, autumn sowings, winter sowings. So just think about, when is your little patch of soil bare? You might even have a bit of bed bare in the summer. I don't see how, but possibly. So have a look for the ones, if it's now, that are for winter. Then within those, think about what function you want it to perform when you dig it in the spring. What's going to go in that bed in the spring? Therefore, are you trying to feed the soil with it? Or are you just protecting bare soil over the winter? Whichever you decide on, get a wriggle on and get them ordered now if you haven't already. And now I really am going to say cheerio and go on with this garden, because it doesn't do itself. Cheerio, take care everyone, and I'll see you all again really soon, I hope.